Like, you see guys like Canelo who get no credit, who started off as mainly at welterweight, or maybe a couple fights, was dominant at junior middleweight, but has jumped when as high as light heavyweight to beat a very good fighter. And he not only beat him, he stops him, knocks him out, and gets absolutely no credit.
What is good, Danger Zone Boxing Talk? It is BC Left Hook. Here as always with my co-host, Twine B. Liberty, a.k.a. The Divine. And we here once again to bring you a little bit of our reaction to yesterday's action. Twine, I'm going to kick it over to you, let you start off with our topics.
Pretty much we're going to do a quick rundown and breakdown of yesterday's cards from Showtime event. It was a pretty big event. We had two titleists going for Undisputed. We'll do that one second, but we'll start off with what's the co-main event of that feature last night, which was Romero against Anthony Yigit for the the WBA interim belt. It actually wasn't for the belt because Yigit came in 5 pounds overweight, so only Rolly could win the belt or win the title. And it actually ended in what I believe was a 7th round knockout by Rolly Romero. So
he won by 7th round TKO.
Fight and takeaways from Rolly Romero. We're starting to see a lot of them.
First, I want to say congratulations to him and his team. I thought they coming in and I agree with the announcer. At one point, he had said that had Brian not had such a long layoff, he most likely would have been the favorite. And his one draw coming into the fight, a lot of people thought that he had deserved the W, and he probably would have been the favorite, but he wasn't last night. I thought that Rolly is very sloppy. The kid's got a ton of power, though. He's got a ton of power. One time he caught him on the top of the head, and I would think that was the first knockdown. Fundamentally, he has a lot of work to do if he's going to beat one of these top guys in that division. He has a ton of fundamental work that he has to get accomplished and soon if they're going to keep moving up the ladder. But he does have power. He hits you, you're going to feel it. I am interested. Do I believe that he is ready for a Tank Davis or a Haney? Both of which he's called out. Absolutely not. He needs a lot more work. And if he can get get better fundamentally, he does have the power that could cause some real issues for a lot of these guys. But until he cleans up what he is fundamentally, I just can't see him on that level.
Takeaways from that fight: Rolly is very dirty. I mean, he caught him with like an elbow and a forearm. he judo through him. Like Rolly is all over the place, man. Entertaining stylistically, as long as he has the right opponent. There's going to be guys that are going to be able to outbox him pretty easily with this style, as we've seen against Jackson Manriquez in that fight that many people thought he had lost. But he actually got a decision and won the interim title in that fight, I believe. With that said, I don't really have a high upside for Rolly right now, outside of him being entertaining outside of the ring and personality-wise. I'm pretty much starting to label him the retarded Keith Thurman because of his lisp. He's a character, man. Like you just gotta watch him. His interviews are funny and everything else. But yeah, that boy can't get right. Like something is off with him already. I watched the post-fight presser last night, and he actually called out Devin Haney. Him and Devin Haney actually went back and forth on Twitter. He called Devin Haney the Amir Khan of 135. So I don't know what we'll see made of that. At the moment, Rolly is the interim title for the WBA and can technically fight Gervonta Davis, which would be his stablemate. Not just PBC bound, but as far as them both being signed to Mayweather Promotions. So I don't think Floyd will necessarily make that move as of yet. We'll see what kind of fights Romero gets, man. I'm not sure who they could put him against right now, honestly.
Really, the only guy I'm interested in seeing him fight right now is Ryan Garcia. Let's Ryan needs a name, somebody like if he could knock out Rolly after everybody that pays real attention to the sport has seen that sparring video in which Rolly completely beats up Ryan. You know what I mean? We've all seen it. Ryan and him would be a good fight. Neither one of them has, I'll give Ryan's at least fought Luke Campbell. But
I mean, they both have the same bad habit at the moment. So, I mean, somebody definitely get knocked the fuck out. Like, Rolly keeps his head too goddamn high. And, he get murdered by a tank. And, even Ryan has the power to put him out.
yeah.
He's just technique-wise, he's very awful. Very awful.
Yeah, I believe I would favor Ryan. Ryan looks a little bit better fundamentally right now, and everybody's going to go back to that sparring video. But that sparring video was 3 years ago. That's not the same kids. It might be even older than that. But that's what caused a lot of people to have this image of Ryan, along with the things that Ryan has done in public and in the sport, pulling out of fights. And, for unknown reasons and being, I don't want to say deceptive, but not really telling everything that why'd you pull out that Fortuna fight? Was it because you didn't really go into detail about the reason other than, his mental health and something else was more important than boxing. And I don't think a lot of people have been that greatly impressed with Rolly in his last 2 performances. I think most people thought that he lost the prior fight. And that fight yesterday, we got the spectacular knockout, but that was a guy that hadn't fought in 2 years. And early on in that fight had absolutely no problem getting to the side of him and landing some nice hooks to the head. And, Rolly eventually, because he is in such great shape, I'll give him that. That kid, he's in great shape. Bullied him all over the ring, and as you said, was dirty. Had no problem getting ugly and physical. And I think that for some guys that might give them some problems, possibly. But I need to see him beat somebody, first, and not be so sloppy at times in the ring.
Definitely agreed. With that said, I guess we'll go into our second fight of the night, which was the main event. We had Jermell Ironman Charlo, who was the 3-belt champion. I believe he held the WBA, IBF, and WBC belts, and the IBO as well, facing Brian Castano from Argentina, who was the WBO belt holder at 154 pounds. It ended in a controversial split decision draw. We're definitely going to touch on this one for a while because I got some shit to get off my mind on this one. Before I let my boy Malachi start off with his breakdown, we'll go ahead and read the scorecards. 117-111 in favor of Charlo, 114-113 in favor of Castano, and one judge had a 114-114, which made it the split decision draw. Let me get your breakdown of the fight. The scorecards, and what do you think of the period? Because it's been a banner of social media and groups all day, man.
I think it was a terrible look and a missed opportunity for boxing, and yet once again, someone's horrendous scorecard is to blame. We'll get into that in a little bit. I thought all in all that it was an excellent fight. I thought that no matter what, whether you were a hardcore boxing fan or you were a casual, when you sat down and watched that fight that took place last night between those 2 champions, you had to have come away, enjoying what you saw. You had Charlo fighting a lot off his back foot, Castano applying nonstop pressure and looking if you never seen him before, that's the Castano that a lot of people saw, and a lot of people said we're going to give Charlo problems, and like as I think most of us would agree, you saw that throughout the night. In my opinion, that the rounds that Charlo won, in my opinion, it wasn't enough to win the fight, but again, we'll get into that later. But in my opinion, the rounds that Charlo won very decisively. The rounds that Castano won, there were a lot of them that you could throw to Charlo if you were looking for certain things. There were a lot of close rounds. I still had it. I had Brian Castano winning by 2 rounds. In my opinion, he should have been the first undisputed super welterweight champion in history. It's unfortunate that he was robbed. 117.
Let's be careful with the robbery term here. Let's be careful with that one.
117, 111?
No, that's a scorecard. We're talking about the decision itself. Like,
okay.
The 117, 111, I could agree with that. That was bullshit. But I'm talking about the actual decision. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's not call that a highway robbery.
Well, who did you have winning the fight?
I actually had it a draw. Yeah, I actually had it 6-6. And one of the things I debated last night is, what do you do with the 10th round? Like, it was so one-sided and he had him so hurt. Like, I was questioning, would somebody call it a 10-8 round? I didn't do it on my scorecard, but one of the judges actually did, and it wasn't the one that had the 117, 111 score, surprisingly. But yeah, that was one of the questionable rounds for me, is what do you do with that round? Was it so one-sided? Did he have him so bad that you call it a 10-8? Traditionally, you don't call it 10-8 unless somebody hits the canvas, but it's not with outside of realm to give it a 10-8. But it was that bad to where I thought one of the judges would give it a 10-8. I didn't do it personally just because of how I feel. I'll go into a further breakdown of the fight, man. Man, you could see the respect between both of them. And what I mean by that is, you look at Castano. He was doing his normal come forward bulldog pressure style, but at the same time, you look at his total punch count for the fight. He's normally a high output guy, under 600 punches. So, I mean, he's normally a guy that throws 900 to 1,100 punches. He threw over 1,100 punches against Teixeira. He threw 900 punches against Erislandy Lara, who still had better legs than Jermell Charlo when they fought at the time they did fight. So, I mean, this is a guy that's high pace, high output. He only threw 600 punches this fight. So that shows the kind of respect he had for Jermell's power. Jermell, he was able to walk him down and make Brian Castano go off the back foot, which I said would be a key to him victory, key to him winning the fight. Like, he needed to do that. He made it pretty easy on himself, but he couldn't remain it consistently. It didn't run consistently. So that was the issue right there. So they definitely have respect for each other's stylistically. The reason why I had to fight a draw easily, like I could easily see a draw, and I could see 7-5 if you gave the 10-8 round, which I didn't do. So I had 6-6. But the reason why I didn't give Castano the rounds that a lot of people did is because he was doing a lot of the old Sugar Ray Leonard shit, not shoe shining, but he's definitely going into his flurries in the last minute of the round. And Jermell was pretty much consistent the first 2 minutes of the round, controlling it with his jab. Like, I don't play that shit with my scoring. I don't give people rounds for last minute or last 20 seconds. The only round that I did give him that he did that in was round 3, when he actually had Jamal's knees buckled twice off a left hook. So, I mean, that's pretty much where I was going with my scorecard. But like I said, it was a great action-packed fight. I'd love to see a rematch between the two. Let's go into the breakdown of the scorecards as well. The 117, 111, that needs to be investigated. Hopefully the state of Texas does something, reviews that, because that was basically awful right there. Like I said, it's not the matter of the decision, it's that one scorecard. But the draw was not a robbery in my book. I
Okay, robbery may be a strong word. I had Brian winning by 2 rounds, and here's what I believe. If you're in a round and where there's really nothing to distinguish one from the other, Charlo backing up the whole round, just throwing a jab, trying, a lot of times getting either, through or caught and whatever. But that's really the only action. And then the last minute of the round or last 30 seconds of the round, Castano lands a beautiful combination. It's hard to choose who should win that round because Charlo may have dominated with his jab for 2 minutes. What did it really accomplish?
Yeah.
So then Castano lands, 4 or 5 punch combination or 3 punch combination. And one of them, there were times when Castano was landing clean with his combinations and rocking Charlo, particularly early on in the fight. After he had did he get knocked down or did he get rocked first early in the fight? I don't know.
He got rocked. What's the name? Castano was the one that got hurt first in round 2.
He almost went down in round 2, right?
In round 3, he came back and hit him with those 2 left hooks that had Charlo's legs buckled.
So there was a lot of rounds like that. And as I said, the rounds that I gave to Charlo won very decisively. There were rounds that I gave to Castano that, were tight rounds. So I didn't have a problem with the scorecard that I believe it was 114-113, correct? That was a great card. That ref was paying attention to the fight. Then the other ref called it a draw. Okay, I only had Brian winning by 2 rounds. I don't have a huge problem with it. The 117-111 was utterly ridiculous. That dude, what was he watching? Like, what does he like? And what criteria did this dude freaking submit to whatever authority where they were lost? Where were they? I don't remember where they lost big. Whatever athletic commission in the state to get the right to judge a fight. Because 117-111, are you freaking kidding me? The dude ought to be banned from boxing. I'm sorry, because he's messing with people's lives and their families' paychecks and money for the future.
This is what my biggest takeaway was this, man, and this was just me after, having discussions last night. Castano didn't deserve to lose his belt last night, and that's why I say I'm happy with the decision. Like, I don't think he didn't deserve to lose his belt. I don't think we're going to get to see the rematch right away, and that's why I'm saying that it was a blown opportunity more for Jermell than anybody, because he's got mandatory central coming up. The IBF is long overdue. This was his first fight in, I believe, in over 300 days. So, I don't expect a fast rematch to happen with this one. You have Tim Zhu, who's actually the mandatory for Brian Castano in his WBO belt, depending on when the WBO decides to order it. Castano had been out of the ring for a little while as well, close to 200 days, I believe. So it's going to be interesting to see what these sanctioning bodies do, or sanctioning organizations do, and how, if they allow this to happen. It's just really sad. I think Jermell blew an opportunity, and a lot of it is because he didn't listen to his instruction. Like, if you listen to Derek James in the corner, he's telling them the right things to do. Jermell just didn't implement it, and you can almost say possibly that maybe Castano didn't allow him to implement it.
You say that, and I thought Derek, as I've always said, he's very straightforward. And he told him he was losing the fight, and I think at one point they were like, he even needs, you need to get a knockout here. So, but he told him, and he did tell him the right things. There were times when I heard him tell him, "You're making it hard on yourself. Just you can win this fight with just the jab."
Yeah, like I said, when he was walking Castano down, one of the things we talked about like many times on the show, like Castano can't fight off the back foot. Like, he's not comfortable fighting backwards. And Jermell, he should have fought like the bigger man, period. And he didn't. He let this guy 5'7", he's 6 foot tall, he let this guy beat a bigger man than him. And, I was pretty disappointed in him, because I think if he walks him down all fight and implements his size and will on him, like he's the bigger guy, we might get a stoppage. He had him hurt plenty of times in that fight. That's something else he may need to clean up. I noticed that's something between both brothers. They'll flurry when they have somebody hurt going in for the kill as opposed to selecting shots. That's one of the things that separates real finishers, a la Terrence Crawford. Selective and Errol Spence, selective shots, not flurries. So, I feel like Castano fought his ultimate match outside of his normal output. And I felt there was a lot more things that Jermell could improve on. So, I feel like going to the rematch, I would favor Jermell again. But, implementing a game plan and actually doing it in the ring, there's two different things as we saw last night, man.
I agree. My fault. I dropped out for a second. But I agree with you. Now, I will say this. Last night should I'm not talking about any talk of Jermell Charlo. I'm not talking about Jamal, but any talk of Jermell Charlo ever fighting Canelo. Canelo's gonna knock him clean out of him. I'm sorry. He's gonna beat him up. The other brother, he might have a better shot, but no. This one, no way.
Another thing, people learn who the damn twins are, man. Stop getting them mixed up. I've been getting into people about that shit the last couple of days too. You get your twins right, man. It's not that hard to figure out. It's really not.
I agree. All right. Well, we just want to drop in and do a quick recap on our thoughts. 117 is 111 is unacceptable in this sport. We don't need judges who are in control of these guys' lives and their future paychecks to be putting in scorecards like this. Before we go, I want to go through our comments one more time. The homie Clarence came through and said, salute, fellas. You can follow him. You can search him up on your Facebook search, Clarence Claim Promotions. It's a great group you can join. He said a second fight will be better. I hope we can get a rematch. Salute to the general, a.k.a. Fetty Chez, Fred Miranda, the creator of Danger Zone Boxing Talk, dropped through. He said DZBT, and he said, hope all is well, brothers. Clarence is agreeing with us about these judges. Just want to thank you guys for popping in and everybody who'll view later. Thank you to the DZB family, and we out.